quick TLDR before we get into this video, absolutely go watch this show. We have a series here where we constantly ask the question, should you watch this anime? Yes, yes, yes. We're going to be talking about season 3 today, so I would massively suggest it, but I'll try not to do too much damage as far as spoiling things and destroying the story. If anything, I hope I can just share what to me is a extraordinarily underlooked and amazingly skilled story in the way that it's written, in the way that it's executed, in the way that it just delivers mountains of information seamlessly, and how brilliant it does it. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun. Ladies and gentlemen, this might just be one of, if not my favorite anime of all time, and I've been watching anime for a very long time. We are at 3 seasons of this show, and for me, it is still yet to miss. And each one of these seasons are 21 episodes minimum. That is incredible. Kind of like 6 seasons, give or take. Actually, that hasn't missed. That's amazing. And to not have gotten a little bit bored with these characters is a tremendous feat. Welcome to Demon School's baseline idea, the same thing as My Hero talking about how Deku is going to be the #1 hero, is equally as brilliant and clever. Starting the show off with the extremely obvious overall story of a very gentle, small, and really kind boy becoming the Demon King, becoming this ruler of a world that is incredibly chaotic, mean, and violent, or at least was. And unlike other shows that kind of just drop this and kind of like, well, okay, well, this is just a blanket for you to give a crap about what's about to happen to make the lows less of a low, but we're not going to bring it up for like a millennia, and then at the last minute we're going to quickly pivot and we're going to bring it back. No, well, sorry to throw shade. So many times throughout this entire show, they do so many beautiful nods at, hey, Iruma is gonna be the Demon King. Hey, there's a prophecy about how a boy that will heal all demon kind. Turns out human beings' blood heals monsters, hence why they are eaten. He also will unite all of demon kind. It just so happens that Iruma-kun is one of the most generous, will do everything for anybody, pushover is what they call it, for everyone, and has a tendency to be friends and be beloved by everyone because he is so willing to help in a world like the netherworld, underworld basically, where no one really helps anybody without it feeding their ambition. Oh, and even that, the overall idea of the show, the core fundamentals are ideals and ambition, and honestly desire. Ideals being the ideal for how you would like to live your day and what you would like to have. But ambition being something far stronger, a pursuit worth pursuing, something that you can sacrifice parts of your life and even future to be able to attain. Honestly, if I could distill all that, it is the idea of growth. Not just growth necessarily, but harnessing the potential that lies within all of these characters that might even be thrown away and even titled misfits, outcasts. The idea of the story being everyone has potential, so long as you can harness your ambition and let it push you forward into the person that you so need to be in order to gain said ambition. And if you do all that, maybe you can actually keep your ideals. Anyways, getting a little ahead of ourselves. Okay, so that's the overall general story. First of all, a lot there, super bought in. They will constantly feed this flame all the time. So many shows don't do that. They mention it once, get you to say, okay, I'll settle in, and then they never bring it up again until like season 5, and you're like, Jesus Christ, man, come on. Whereas no, every single scene, his grandpa is making like this weird signal with his fingers, signaling that he is going to become this important figure. There are so many scenes where, oh, this is what the prophecy meant, paying homage to that. Oh, he'll heal demon kind, his blood's literally heal juice. Oh, he's like the favorite person of every single person in the school, and if you just 10x that on the netherworld scale, oh yeah, everyone's just gonna love him because he's not gonna stop. He's not gonna stop helping people or befriending people. Oh, you'll unite all of demon kind. That makes sense. He also doesn't really want anything. He's not selfish like the people around him, so he is going to, of course, change all demon kind as well, which it's just so many little nods. It does such a brilliant job. But this is the Ring of Solomon, to me, is the best description of this is feeding the general idea of the story, but also feeds so many smaller stories, specific stories, moments that will ring really loudly in your mind when I mention anything that is so simple. Let's play a game. For those of you guys who have seen this show, I'm going to say a few things, very few sentences, and I bet you're going to immediately know, and in some cases, see what this scene is, okay? If I say something like, Iruma, dodgeball, okay, what do you see? Iruma, firework, what do you see? If I say Iruma's familiar, what is that? If I say Iruma learns about the Demon King, what happens there? And lastly, if I say Iruma-kun's ring, what detonates in your brain? If I said any of those things and you've watched the show, you can clearly see all of those things happening, all right? Specifically with Iruma-kun's ring. You can see this devouring shadow that's going to rip apart everyone else's magic, and then in season 2, you see Ollie, this tiny little wispy thing with a butler outfit, looking all kinds of unique and being all kinds of sassy. But, and this is a slight kind of nod to the overall story, but when you first meet the shadow in Iruma-kun's ring, Ollie, he gives you his full name. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's basically the Demon King's canon name backwards. Sorry for the spoiler, a little bit of spoiler, but this to me is the antithesis of what I'm describing about expert, freakish, amazing storytelling, where this tiny thing is a nod to the overarching story, constantly feeding that flame while also empowering these cool moments of this weirdo character who's going to constantly be taking care of Iruma, and then when you see the future at the very end of season 2, you start learning about the Demon King himself and how the person who is the Demon King will basically rebuild the entire world in an image of that character. So Ollie, the previous Demon King, is trying to keep Iruma-kun safe so that he can become and do the prophecy correctly. It's like 5D chess. It's brilliant. It's so good. It's also not needlessly complicated. Like, you can see it coming, which is annoying in other shows. But that is what I mean about how clever this story is. And not only just the story, but the world building in this show is insane. If we could just like kind of calcify all this into a simple understanding thing, some of the best stories ever told, so things like Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, Hunter x Hunter, all of these kinds of things, just brilliant storytelling with like crazy depth and crazy leverage. A marker of how good shows are is with this simple idea. How much do you know about the crazy world that they just told you about? Star Wars is a great example. It's absolute batshit, makes very little sense. But at the end of the trilogy, or at the end of the movie, you just accept that all of these crazy things exist. You understand the rules of the world. You understand how to play in that world. And you understand the limitations that are given in that world. Sorry to speak so fast at you. I'm getting excited. Welcome to Demon School does this expertly as well. Again, if I tell you about bloodline abilities, this should ring in your head about a whole series of rules and backgrounds for each of the characters that they introduce to you throughout the story. Oh man, don't even get me started on that. How insane is it that we know like so many characters, and then we know those characters so deeply? I bet at the very least you could list a couple characters, assign their bloodline ability, who they kind of are as a person usually, and you can immediately envision what they look like. If I say Clara, you're gonna understand what that is. And it's done so seamlessly that you don't even know you have this crazy bank vault of information of the story, of these moments, of the world and its world building and its rules, and these moments that are calcified in your brain, like when Iruma catches the dodgeball and he gets pushed back. If I say something as simple as Amari's reading session, what do you see? Again, I cannot stress enough how, to me, this whole show is incredible. And again, the idea of us knowing so many about these characters like Clara, like Azith, like Sullivan, there's so many of these characters, and even the side characters. I'm particularly bad with names, but I know them by heart. I can see their faces in my head. This may be a little creepy, but my point is that how incredible it is that they were able to give us so much information and make it seem seamless is a round of applause, amazing thing. But even though that is incredible, at least I think, the thing that I feel that Welcome to Demon School does best, and I feel like it bothers me and it frustrates me that I don't think people will give this show its proper credit, because it doesn't go for things like visceral anger, hating a character. Oh my god, how could they do that to this person? I hate them. I want to see them get crushed, this horrible kind of thing. Shield Hero invoked that in a lot of people, this kind of the gross person doing horrible things. Some people really connect with sorrow, like these emotions that really make you feel, oh my god, I cried because I felt so bad for this character, and I felt the loss. If I could be even just a touch more grand here, the one thing that I feel like Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun does the best out of any show that I've ever seen ever is sincerity. What I mean by that is for you to actually believe that the characters are going to say or believe or are honest in what they're portraying. I don't know how they've done this, which is insane. So what I mean by this is I've been watching anime ever since I can remember. It's my favorite thing. I enjoy it a lot. I love storytelling, and to me, I like crazy stories, and anime is just that with a lot more booba and, but it's still crazy cool ideas, and I like that a lot. Even if they're not executed too great, I still like the idea and the farm from my imagination. I appreciate that. That's why I like anime. But the amount of times I've heard that friendship is magic is just painful to me, and how good vibes are enough to kill monsters is annoying. And how just everything feels like it's fake. Like you're like, this doesn't feel earned. I don't really get it, but sure. I mean, it's a nice sentiment, but I don't feel like you even believe this. You know what I mean? How do you believe this? You're just mentally broken. Like, this doesn't add up. Yeah. But Welcome to Demon School does this so well. I 100% full send. I believe that the characters believe what they believe. For example, the scene with Clara, what happens pretty early on in the first season, where Clara, this excitable girl who loves to play, but unfortunately finds herself in the position where she kind of builds up this pattern in her head of whoever plays with me, I need to basically validate or give them a reward for having done that. This creating this kind of toxic kind of thing where she is basically, the friends that she does make are people who just want stuff from her. And of course, when Iruma says, yeah, I don't want anything, her reaction is, oh, this must mean I lost the friend that I was making, the fun times are over, and all that stuff. It doesn't just like let that sit in that stew and let it be anxiety inducing. No. They set us free immediately. Where Iruma is a smart, intelligent, emotionally clever person who's like, no, don't misunderstand this. I don't need anything from you. You as a person is plenty for me. And I adore that. And for that moment, for you to see Clara crumble and then for her to be just in complete happy joy, I don't know if it's the way that they design the scene around it. I don't know if the manga is different or even better. I don't know. All I know is that those scenes hit like a truck for me. They make me feel happy and like I believe that this character feels overwhelming joy. Not only because the story is written in such a way that you can understand that pain and that reflex, and how that can permeate within someone's head and like, oh yeah, this is just how the world works now. When someone doesn't want to take advantage of me, that means it's off. That means it's we're no longer doing this. Rather than, no, you're plenty, just as you are, and how emotionally impactful that could be for someone who grew up in that. Is amazing. Like I'm trying to anchor it down to something, but I think it's the characters, the voice acting, the drawing, and how bright and vibrant and lovely each one of these characters' designs are. This is kind of the craziest thing to do. It's like the absolute flex to do in storytelling. Is each one of the characters we meet in Welcome to Demon School are very, very powerful, big, larger-than-life personalities and characters. None of them are like Joe Schmo generic tsundere person, you know what I mean? Very few of them, if any of them, are like that. All of them are very, very different, very, very bright, very, very, very big personalities, best way I could describe it. And very, very big personalities tend to be standoffish for a lot of people. People don't love that. It's like, oh, this person's too much, or this person is crazy, or this person is unrealistic. But in reality, maybe it's the insane world that they perfectly lay out for us, but you kind of understand, oh, as if this makes sense, this is the demon world, he'd be obsessed with Iruma-kun because he bested him, and that was the first time in his whole life that happened, so of course this kind of breeds this obsession. And of course this is underworld. Why wouldn't power be extraordinarily meaningful down here? Even if it happened to just be by chance that he won. And that to kind of have spiraled into, wait, I followed this person because he beat me and I thought he was better than me, but actually I just deeply wanted a friend and wanted someone to follow and someone to show me the way. And that kind of being Azith's kind of whole thing. And it just, oh man. I've talked too much about just this series as a whole. But I can't describe how I think this show is so brilliant. Like it's I don't feel like I'll ever get the credit that it deserves because it is chaos. It is crazy. It is bright. It is Halloween times 10. It is so many crazy ideas smashed into a beautiful story that is expertly written. But it is not moody. It's not Attack on Titan, make you rip your heart out and feel sad. It doesn't have death and decay everywhere, so people won't be able to really say, oh my god, this is mature. It doesn't try to be like lewd or risque. It's just a beautiful story with so many complex characters and done in such a way that, my God, is the author of this story amazing. And not even just that, I think the artist and the animators and the voice actors who make you believe in these characters, make you feel the sincerity of Clara, the chaos of Clara, and the nobility and the class of Azith is just so good. And then these side characters, you knowing so much about them, and they're side characters, dude. But anyways, with that all being said, this is probably the longest anime chat I'll ever have with you guys. Sorry. Let's talk about season 3 and what I think it did expertly well, because goddamn, dude, we're 3 seasons in, 24 episodes or 21 episodes a piece, and I still desire so much more. Let's get into it. So in season 3 of Welcome to Demon School, we are given an amazing arc, and that's the one thing I didn't mention really quick. How amazing is it that each season has like 5 arcs, and they're all really different from one another, but they're still worth going on. Except for the Demdall arc. I didn't really love that one a lot. But anyways, all the other ones, so good. So good. Like the arc where he's going into his classes, Iruma-kun uses his ring for the first time, sprouts out this beautiful cherry blossom tree. Again, the dodgeball arc was sick. The battler party where they're just basically like bumming around trying to figure out where to go next. Even something super chill like, oh, just getting better at studying and trying to pass this week's final. Turns into you meeting like a lovable character who's a teacher who's like way too touchy, but super sweet and wholesome as well. Like so many scenes drastically different from each other. Not like shonen, now you're fighting a different but the same bad guy, and you'll have to get maybe stronger, then beat him again. And then he'll come back 5 seasons later or become your best friend. And yeah, good team. No, they're all completely different. Like on a Hunter x Hunter level of like each arc feels so refreshing. Like you don't know what to expect next. And that just hits like a truck for me. Anyways, so in this season, we are given like, to me, what is the shonen dream. Y'all gonna be powered up by these crazy teachers. You have a master, a sensei, and they're gonna invest in a specific piece of your kit and buff it to high hell. I love that. Also, it's clever in the way that they do it, where it's not just like in other shows I've seen, when you have your like, here's your sensei person, they'll just make you OP immediately and you're basically bulletproof. You know what I mean? Whereas in this show, they're like, no, each one of these teachers, these masters, are masters in a specific thing. One is good at being really clever, really tricky, strategic, all these things, manipulative in some sense. Another one is good about using your bloodline ability and how to amplify that. And it's even smarter because, again, this is something that the show does so many times, but if you just look to the future of where the story could go, you could envision, oh, well, if each one of these students in this Royal 1 class, the Misfit class, have a proficiency in a certain aspect, couldn't they teach the other people about that proficiency? Or are they just going to keep it like, no, this guy is going to be the guy who runs the business aspect of it. These are going to be the warriors. These are going to be the X or the Y, whatever, right? It could be the case too. Although you do get the sense that the demon class is going to be like Iruma-kun's underlings, essentially. Or at least some of them. Anywho, but the biggest takeaway I have for season 3 is, again, man, I keep coming back to it. They showed us an entire class of characters, and throughout the entire series, it didn't feel like they're like, now it's time for this character's long-winded, slow development. No. They're like, no, here's the problem with all of them, and let me spread it out in a really clever way so it's not taxing. One of the things I think is so hard to do in storytelling or in anything is what I would refer to as resonance, specifically emotional resonance. So it's basically like, did you do the goal that you did? So did you communicate the story in such a way that people didn't get bored? That's your endpoint. How did you do that? I don't know, but they did that. Is that like, you resonated. You made it so that the moment I started to get bored with this character, boom, you shot to another one. Okay, just as it was starting to overstay its welcome, they drop hints that, oh, I didn't show you these 2 characters, the characters that we're learning from the guy who is supposed to be like a trickster and like clever. And then, of course, deeper into the season and the arc, when it matters, they show us what they've been through, why they are so clever and how they're gamifying the system so much. And it's just like, oh my God, now we know about their backstory. And if you stop and think about that whole season and how it communicated to you these characters all improving. So if you like the growth mindset or like the growth arc, this has you taken care of in spades. And how every version of the growth archetype got to interact in this playground of ideas to leverage the thing that they learned the most. So it's not like one was better than the other necessarily. It was just like, oh no, now you're all settling into your roles. I haven't seen a lot of stories that do that. And not even close to enough stories that actually make you feel like you understand the characters more now, more deeper, because you've seen the struggle that they went on, how they developed that skill, and how they earned that skill in some cases. And to me, it's just rad. And some are like really badass, like what do you call it? Azith finally showing his evil cycle and him just turning into like a ballerina of death, and maybe a little bit of like risque lust, etc. But still, maybe he likes it too much. You know what I mean? But that was like so cool. And again, like not many shows I can say something like that. Like, do you remember like the scene where Azith just popped off his evil cycle, and you're like, oh yeah, I completely see that in my head, like him just popping off and spinning around and twirling. But that's my one takeaway, man. They were able to show us so many characters. And for us, and then develop all of them without it feeling like, oh god, we're learning too much about these side characters that I don't care about. Because they kind of trickle in everything and they make it feel like just, no, you're watching this entire class become better and develop is so cool. And then also seeing like the craziness of all of the masters kind of cementing like, no. The outcasts in this case, or in this world, are always going to be the people who are exceptional because you were ostracized, you were excluded, you were odd to begin with, and you didn't let that oddness smother you. Instead, you chose to stand atop a current of waves trying to beat you down, and you were able to resist that and basically became great. Kind of like the idea of you becoming better through trials, etc. But with all my adulation and love for this series aside, I do have one complaint. It might be cringe, but it's a complaint nevertheless. I am sad that my favorite character and honestly favorite waifu of any story, anime, manhwa, whatever, is being shafted. I adore the character named Clara. She is, to me, the best heroine ever. She is fun, goofy, playful. Not like this. She's not like tropes on tropes on tropes, which is lovely. I understand her. I had friends like her, which were fantastic and brilliant. And then they have these moments where she's just so, like, loving, gentle, I'm gonna use the word maternal, like, just very sweet, and like, oh, you marry this girl, immediately, Iruma-kun, you fucking bastard. Instead, you're out here with Amari. So yeah, that's my annoyance, basically. It is becoming even more clear as the series goes on, and some people might be like, but GRINN, there was that moment with Clara where she told him that she loved him. It was so cute, wholesome, lovely, right? I know, man. I thought I was gonna go find the answer that I wanted. I googled who does Iruma-kun end up with, and apparently the anime is way behind. Like we have 200 chapters, some crazy shit, and we're on chapter like 15 or something. So I went up and looked and seen like, is there any hint? And unfortunately, no. The damn designer / brilliant, amazing writer, it's not confirmed, but it is heavily leaning towards the fact that Amari is going to be his love interest. There's a scene in the manga where Iruma-kun basically refers to Clara and Azith as like platonic soulmates, not as like love interests. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. I hate it. I hate it so much. I get it. It kind of is in alignment with what they've been kind of doing, which is like, no, Clara is like this person that Iruma-kun needs, you know, like she's like this, the other half. But I don't like that it's not a fucking, like, come on, she's waifu material. She's wifey material. It just fucking annoys me. Anyways, I don't know why. I think Clara deserves to win. Amari's great. That's the good news, is that the author does such a good job about making you love all of them, basically. Hey, writer, you don't understand me at all. I'm speaking English. But do the Harem King ending, okay? For the love of God. Harem King ending. It's one of the only times I want this, because the Iruma-kun is a Chad, just a fucking nice, wholesome boy. Come on! Anyways, me being cringe aside, I adore the show so very much. Awesome that it's most likely gonna get a season 4. Apparently it's selling really well. Not like crazy like My Hero, but plenty enough to warrant it having another season. So I'm so happy that I'm not the only person that just resonates and loves this just wonderful story. Just a wonderful story that I so desperately want to see concluded. I hope we keep getting a season every year, or every other year, sorry. I hope they can keep that churn rate happening. They've been doing a great job thus far, and I'm just only getting more and more invested. There's also plenty of source material, and so yeah, there's a high probability that we'll get another season. The only thing is that it's not confirmed yet, although it probably will happen eventually, which is lovely to hear. And apparently, season 4, I know some people might be like, oh, damn it, dude, we're getting kind of like a K-pop music arc. I kind of like the shonen, like, get stronger kind of vibe. Apparently, from people who read the manga, they say that this is one of, if not the strongest arc in the show, which is this like band performance arc, I guess. I wonder if that's why they haven't said that there's going to be a season 4 next year, or the 2025 or something like that. 2024 it would be. Maybe it's because they're like, no, we want to really nail this arc because this is one of the fans' favorites, so we're going to take more time to develop that. Instead of 1 year, it's going to be 2. I don't know. I hope so. I hope we get more of this show, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if I couldn't convince you to go watch the show, then I don't know, man. I don't know what will. I love it so much. I think it's super brilliant, and I hope that it gets the credit it deserves as being like an incredibly well written and like an expert class in like world building, like moment to moment that you remember, overarching general story that like is constantly being fed, characters that you will adore and know so much about. And it's just an amazing show. I think it's cemented as being my favorite show, unless they start to really shit the bed. But I can't see your 3 seasons in with what is essentially 6 seasons worth of content, and I still find them to be amazing. With the only lull being like the Demdall arc, but that I think it's just because it literally like it felt like an overstated welcome just a little bit. But man, so good, so good. I love it to bits. Hopefully you'll allow me to talk more about anime at you. Thank you kindly for your time. Let me know what you guys think about Welcome to Demon School. It might just be my kind of show, but goddamn, is it my kind of show. Thank you kindly for your time, and goodbye, my friends.